So the final things we're going to look at are these two lasagnas. So this will show us how choosing the best within one food group, one category, using our label reading can help. So look at this one. Made for you. Healthy options for people watching their blood sugar. What's this? This is the D tick, apparently, which on the back says, all products have been developed in conjunction with our accredited practicing dietitians. So that's the dietitian tick. Okay, so it's foods for people watching their blood sugar. So low glycemic index, 2 serves of veg, high fibre, 97% fat-free, and a complete meal. So it says layers of fresh rolled pasta with our signature tomato sauce and vegetable topped with ricotta and mozzarella cheese. And it has the Heart Foundation tick. Wow, what's the catch? Let's have a look. So we've got fat, 2 grams. So that's less than 3, it's even less than 10, so that's a tick. Let's have a look. Dietary fibre, 1.4. So it's not more than 5, but then again, the main component of our meal, something like the meat part, the lasagna, whatever we're eating, we want the vegetables to be on the plate as well, helping to provide that fibre. So we're not expecting that main part to provide all the fibre. So not more than 5. Sodium, 141. Wow. So that's well under the recommended 400 milligrams. Sugar, 3.1. Oh. So that's a tick too. So we've got 3 ticks and a bit of fibre. Wow. What's the catch? This is a very personal preference, but I tried this and I found it quite bland. It looks like there's a thick piece of cheese on there, but really I needed to add a couple of pieces of cheese to give it that flavour. And in my opinion, this is where sometimes sticking to the nutrients too far can mean that you're actually compromising a little bit on taste. So let's have a look at a normal lasagna that isn't making all those healthy claims. So we've got Clever Cook's lasagna, but it can be any brand. We don't endorse any brands. We're just having a look at some different products that you might find in your everyday supermarket. So we've got fat and we've got 4 grams. So 4.4. So that's still under 10. Then we've got sugars, 3.2. Nearly confused everyone there. So that's very similar, isn't it? Less than 10, which is good. Sodium, 310. So that's under 400. And fibre doesn't appear on here. And it doesn't claim that it has any legumes or vegetables or anything like that in it either. But this just shows that if you like that first one, obviously it's the healthier choice. And the closer you can get to that criteria, the better. But we're not asking you to live a bland, boring life where you only eat, cardboard and all brand and foods that are very plain and taste like the box they come in. What we're showing is even with your, you're cooking at home and with your foods that you purchase in a packet, bringing it up a little tiny bit, but still within our guidelines, can help add a little bit of taste and flavour. So here they've increased the salt a little bit, the sugar just a touch, and the fat by a couple of grams, and the taste and the mouthfeel was quite different. So using your labels, having a look and trying the healthiest version first, and if you don't like that, then go up a little bit until you find something that meets the criteria but is still a healthy compromise for you. So now we're going to look at nutrition claims just to finish off this session. So throughout this session I've been reading out the claims on the front. And that's because they're important too, because they can mislead us into choosing a different product than we otherwise would. So the real story is what we want to know. So it's always better to turn over and have a look at those numbers on the label. But the claims on the front, remember they're trying to sell a product. So what does reduced fat mean? Well, when it says reduced fat, it just means that it has to have 25% less than the original. So if you've got a block of cheese, say, the cheese is 1/3 fat normally. If we reduce it by 25%, we've still got a quarter of that whole block is fat. So it doesn't mean that it's low fat. Light or light, again, this is one of my favourites, or do I hate it the most? I can't, light or light can mean taste, texture, colour, flavour. Like the extra light, extra virgin olive oil is still 100% oil, unless they put something else in it like cardboard or water or flour or something like that, which they don't, hopefully. So just because this one says extra light doesn't mean the next one, the one next to it, is any higher in fat. So low fat, that just means less than 3 grams per 100 grams of food. It doesn't mean that the product overall is a healthy choice because it doesn't tell us how much sugar or salt is in that product either. The other thing is a little bit of the unsaturated fats is okay if you're not trying to watch your weight, or even if you are, as part of a healthy balanced diet. So just because it's low fat doesn't mean it's good for us. We want to have a look at the saturated fat and also the sugar and the other nutrients in the food. Salt reduced, that again means reducing it by 25%. So in something really salty to begin with, like soy sauce, it just means that it has to have 25% less, but it could still be a very salty product. Low salt means that it has to be less than 120 milligrams per 100 of food. So that's a good choice for patients with high blood pressure. However, again, it doesn't tell us what else is in there. So how much fat and salt is in there, we're not sure. No added sugar just means no added simple sugars. So it might not have any table sugar, but it might still be very high in sugar. So something like a no added sugar orange juice or an unsweetened orange juice can still have almost as much sugar as a bottle of Coke. So it doesn't mean it's healthy for us. Low joule or diet means artificially sweetened in place of sugar. Now it might mean the product's more processed, it might mean that it's got more salt in it, but generally low joule means low calorie, so it's ideal for people watching their weight. Cholesterol free or low cholesterol, and again I see this in the supermarket with the oil, and people say, oh, this olive oil is cholesterol free. Well, unless it came from an animal, it would be, because cholesterol is only found in animals. So it doesn't mean it's low fat, and it doesn't mean it's healthy for us either. The other thing to remember from before is dietary cholesterol that we eat is poorly converted into blood cholesterol. So what we want to look out for is that saturated fat instead. Toasted or oven baked, like our shapes before, baked, not fried. It doesn't mean that it's healthy, because often they'll pour oil or even saturated fat over the product before they bake it in the oven. And finally, all natural, as we've said already, means nothing. So sugar, fat, oil and cream are all natural. We want to read our labels carefully to see what is in our food. So the final thing we're talking about today is the Heart Foundation tick. The Heart Foundation tick helps guide us towards healthier choices among foods of similar types. So it's quite useful when you're looking at sausages, mincemeats, that type of thing. Although my personal advice to you is to choose the most expensive sausages and mincemeats, those types of foods that you can afford, because as soon as you start going down to the 4 or even 3 star, they start putting fat in there, and you get a much fattier, and it's more saturated fat as well, fattier product. Remembering that the companies must pay for the tick, so just because one food product doesn't have it and the one next to it does, that's similar, doesn't mean that one's healthier. I want you to turn over and have a look at those numbers that we've taught you now how to use and make a decision for yourself. However, it is a good guide. So always reading your label and checking your criteria yourself.